Hello, everybody. I'm Mike,
Hi, Maria. Hi.
and this is TalkAlley. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Good afternoon.
And of course, today, what is it today?
Sunday, and it's our 53rd episode of TalkAlley.
Oh, yeah, it's our 53rd episode. Amazing. My God, it's been a while.
Yes.
I can't even count it anymore.
Exactly 1 week.
Exactly what?
Exactly 1 week since the last episode.
Very funny.
Yes, so spring is coming.
Oh my God, the pollen season is here. So everyone, take out your cetirizine.
Yes.
Like me.
Yes, for Maria and for me, it might be a sneezy season. Yeah.
Well, the cherry blossoms are in bloom.
Yes, that's
And
correct.
we are excited to see more of those trees full bloom, especially the ones in Bonn, right?
Yes. There are 300 cherry blossom trees that are lined up in the Bonn Altstadt.
Mhm.
And the planting of the cherry blossom trees in Bonn originated in 1980, so roughly 40 years ago, as a symbol the friendship between Germany and Japan. So it's always a lovely season to watch pink, because pink is our color. Yes.
Yes.
And the blossoms can be found in the Nordstadt neighborhood, which is also home to the famous Beethoven House. So to those who may want to see these beautiful blooms, do visit Bonn, by April 1st onwards, before they all disappear. So good afternoon, everybody. We thank you for being with us, listeners and viewers, and for supporting TalkAlley on this Sunday.
Yes, thank you very much. I feel happy that the weather is getting warmer, of course. And we felt that yesterday when we were all over Frankfurt. And also, I would like to greet my good friend Jessica Cross for accompanying us yesterday. Hello, Jessica.
Hello. Yes,
And
was a blast.
Of course, the rest of the Cross family in Munzenberg, Gambach. And we recommend that you should go to the... Where did we go yesterday?
We went yesterday to eat Korean.
Yeah.
To Mr. Coco, the food was delicious. The Korean, what's the name? Bulgogi.
Yeah,
And
God,
eating
amazing.
bulgogi with the bibimbap. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice quaint store nearby restaurant. The restaurant in was it in Sachsenhausen? Yes. No, it was nearby the Hauptwache, just nearby. Yes.
And we went to a museum. Can you tell us more about the museum?
Yes, yesterday we also went to the museum, to the Städel Museum in Frankfurt, to the exhibit of Renoir paintings. Expressing it as a French person, so Renoir. Renoir was lived during the Rococo times. So the paintings of Renoir are the colors are vibrant, and I really love the style. How about you?
I love everything. Well, his style was very unique. It was very unique for me. The fusion, and he's a friend of Monet.
Yeah, Monet. So
they're cool friends. It's cool.
Yes, it's a must go. It's a must go.
Amazing! It's not only the paintings that you will see there. You will also get a piece of their history as well. It's written all over the place, so you'll get to know more about Renoir, Monet, and other masters of art.
Yes,
right?
yes. We
Rembrandt.
Yes,
the works of
to Rembrandt and Rubens was also there. Monet, as we mentioned earlier. So it was really an experience to go there. Yeah, at the Museumsufer at Frankfurt. So,
but the display of that the works of Renoir is until June 19th. So yes, you still have a few months to go, but go by. At least in your lifetime, see it.
Yes.
Yes. And of course, we'd like to thank Miss Edna Brewer
Oh yeah.
for sending us a copy of her magazine. And yeah, I will show it later or maybe next episode because I forgot it in my office. So I was reading it. So thank you, Miss Edna, and greetings to you and your family. I hope all is well. And today,
Yes, today, Maria, our first guest is a
our
youth.
first guest.
Our first guest, yeah,
Yeah.
is a youth, migrant, and climate advocate, overseas convener of Isambayan Youth and coordinator for Isambayan Belgium. Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh wait, is he in already?
yes, he's
oh,
in.
he is.
Yes,
oh, thank
he is
you.
in. Ladies and welcome, please welcome Asher Sirana. Welcome to
Hello.
TalkAlley, Asher.
He is
Hello.
with us now.
Hi, good day.
Can you hear us well? We weren't able to do a microphone check earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about the time zones.
No worries. We're glad that you're here. Thank you for joining us here on TalkAlley
Yeah.
today.
Yes, thank you
Truth-
very much
truth
for
be
being
told-
with us.
Truth be told, I was actually in the UK right now. I'm in the UK right now, so I really forgot about the time zones. And I was thinking about 1 p.m., but it's GMT, so it should have been 12.
Okay.
That's why you're in UK. I thought you were joining them in. Oh, that's next week, the Belgium event.
Mhm.
And the Austria event.
Yes.
You will be in Austria as well.
I'll be in Austria as well Saturday 26th, yeah.
Oh, okay, great. And good afternoon, Europe, and good morning, Philippines. I don't know who else is in.
We also have Raul in.
Raul is already okay. So good afternoon, Europe, and good evening, Philippines. Our next guest worked for the National Union of Students of the Philippines. He's a former student regent of the University of the Philippines. He was also a former national chairperson of Kasama sa UP. Ladies and gentlemen, the national president of Kabataan Party List, and of course, I know he's very busy right now because there's a grand rally in Pasig, Laban. Welcome to Talk Alley, Raul Daniel Abelar Manuel.
Hello, Raul. Are you here with
Hello,
us?
Raul. Are you with us? Okay. Raul is not there yet. Maybe he's doing a speech or something.
Okay.
Because at the same time, we're also watching the Pasig Laban event, and it's just amazing.
Yes,
are you watching it too,
A
Ash?
very big event.
Asher? Are you also watching it?
I watched the first part during the morning, and then right now I'm somewhere in central London because there will be an event also supporting for VP Lenny Robredo at
Ooh.
downtown London. So I'll be joining it after this show.
No, okay. Wonderful. We support you. Yay. So yeah, we're just in awe with how so much people came together. But of course, we hope that everyone is safe. So before we talk about politics, we have been seeing thousands attending the rallies of presidential candidates back home. We wanted to ask Raul, but he's not there.
Yet.
But he is with us in spirit.
Yes.
Yes, how the COVID situation is, but he's not here with us right now. So we appreciate him.
Yes. How about there, Asher? How is the COVID situation in London at the moment? Can you tell us
I'm
about?
quite surprised because in London you don't have to wear masks anymore. And I'm very surprised because in Belgium, where I'm based, they need to wear masks in public transport and in healthcare facilities. I'm not sure about the UK, but I think they've really have done have got rid of all the restrictions. Most restrictions, if not all. For example, since Friday, I do not need to fill in my passenger indicator form anymore. So it's very surprisingly convenient for me. It was also like a coincidence that I didn't have to do much paperwork before I go to the UK. So it's really kind of refreshing. But at the same time, sometimes you forget, the pandemic's still there. But there are still much more important things to do.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for the info about the UK. Here in Germany, especially in the state of Hessen, the 20th is today. They were about to lift all the restrictions, but the government of Hessen decided to keep it a bit longer until at least for the 2nd of April. So,
Mhm.
and Raul is also there. Hello, Raul. Thank you for
Hi,
joining us here at Talk
Raul.
Alley.
Yes, hello. Good day to you all, to Asher
Hello.
also.
How you know each other?
Yes, we've been in touch for youth issues and advocacies.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, so we were just asking Asher about the COVID situation in his place. Right now, he's in UK, and we've been seeing thousands of people attending grand rallies in the Philippines. How's the COVID situation there right now?
Oh my, actually, if we look into the preparedness of the country and its response for COVID, it still hasn't improved that much under the current administration because the basics like testing is still inaccessible. There's no centralized contact tracing. So still the people are left in the dark as to how COVID is already spreading. But because of the need for people to assert their voices, for them to come together, especially that we are in the electoral season, people bravely go out of their houses, they join campaign rallies to push for better governance.
Of course, it's more important, but also health is important, and we're just very concerned with what's there. What will happen after those grand rallies because
Mm,
no more social distancing? I mean, they're
yes.
still wearing masks, but
Mm,
they're like I've seen the
yes.
Pasig Laban right now. There's no space
Hundreds
for
of
anything.
thousands. Yes, we appreciate the support, but
Yeah,
still you have to keep the people
yeah. You
safe.
need to be alive before May 16
Yes.
elections. Okay, you need to stay healthy and go to the precincts and vote. So that's what's more important here. You need to be there.
And we will make
So
it. Yes,
exactly.
yes.
I would like to ask Asher just direct to the point. What organizations, because I can see you're representing a lot, do you represent, and when or how did you start being a youth representative?
Oh, long story short, I started to be representative when I was already in Belgium. One, because before I went to Belgium, I was intending to be a volunteer at Greenpeace because I was already aware of like environmental issues. But when I went here, I realized that maybe politics is something that I would really be more interested to go into. So, for example, I went to the Dutch-speaking Belgian Young Greens, for which I am currently the international secretary, and
Mhm.
then another one, and then later on, I became more conscious of the situation in the Philippines and how is it really happening, and then the issues of youth engagement, activism, and how activists are facing danger in the Philippines. Because here, I mean, you could speak out and you do not have to fear for your life. It's a very different situation in the Philippines. So I joined Kapitan Party List as well, with Raul's convincing. And then, but not really active until well, this electoral, just before the electoral season when the pandemic struck, and I had more time and more resources to connect with fellow members in the Philippines. And then Isambayan came, for which I was interested to be part of Isambayan Youth. And at the time of joining, I was the only member of Isambayan Youth outside the Philippines. So back then I
Okay.
was overseas representative, and then I was able to take someone from the UK, but fortunately he will not be able to go to the rally today. But he's now also a member of Sambayan Youth. So from overseas representative now to overseas convener or coordinator, I don't know. And then with Isambayan in Europe, they also asked me to coordinate Isambayan in Belgium, for which I am doing at the moment with two fantastic ladies with the experience and the network and the resources that they have, because without them I would not be able to do all of this. And yeah, I came actually from a camping rally that our friends in Ghent, the city of Ghent, have organized Saturday morning, and then late afternoon I already took the train to London.
Okay.
Okay. Were you born in Belgium? Were you born
No,
and raised there? No.
I was born and raised in the Philippines, in Manila.
Oh.
So I am what people call Batang Tondo.
Ooh.
Batang
Like
Kondo?
someone I know. It's Tondo.
Tondo?
He asked me, it's Batang Kondo. No, it's Tondo. It's a
Ah,
place in the Philippines.
okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah, I know Tondo. Why? But
Okay.
this has a different meaning when I say it like that.
Condo is different.
It's like a
It's
condominium.
condominium. Yeah,
Yes.
Tondo
Okay.
is a place.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's different, totally different. So, what are the challenges of a youth leader like you who is also a migrant?
I think the challenge, but also it's like an enrichment, is like my one of my feet stand in this world where I grew up in Filipino culture and my identity, and then the other one I'm stuck in. With the other foot is stuck in the reality of where I am right now and where I'm engaged. I think the difficulty that I'm really facing right now is mostly on the part of where I am right now, because
Mhm.
youth engagement in politics is not really that strong, but engagement of young people of color in politics like myself is a
Yes.
lot more challenging. And I think I have this thought sometimes that if I get into this certain position where I am right now, maybe I could set an example for young people of color. But I think it will not be enough if we don't change the structures that we have to make it easier for young people of color to be engaged in European politics, let alone in politics itself,
Yes.
where I am in Europe right now.
And of course, that is our topic today, youth in politics and the issues surrounding it.
Yes.
So,
And before we go over to a question to Raul, one thing, last thing for you, Asher, we have an image for you. Can you tell us something about it?
oh,
Yes.
I shared that. I asked permission from Asher to before sharing it because I told him people are going to share it. Maybe it will violate
Okay.
privacy. So I asked permission.
Backstory. This is taken in the city of Leuven, outside Brussels, and there some
Mm-hmm.
people have requested isang bayan to be there because they are also forming a small group in support of VP Leni Robredo. But at that time, it was also the anniversary of martial law, so I just thought, okay, I'll print out some martial law slogans. This is the longest one that I have. So this one is namumuhay tayo ngayon ng tahimik dahil may nag-ingay para sa atin. So in the caption that I just and I made for my socials, I translated to, "We are now living a peaceful and comfortable life because someone else stood up, spoke up, made noise for us." So this
Mhm.
was the reality in martial law, and this is like happening again since 2016 in the DEFTA administration, and there were like other shorter slogans that were there, like for example, ibalik ang ninakaw, hindi ang magnanakaw, or wag na tayo magpaloko pa muli. So it's like, ibalik ang ninakaw, hindi ang magnanakaw. So give back what was stolen, not the robber. And the other one is, wag na tayo magpaloko pa. Let us not fool ourselves again, because 36
Yes.
years after EDSA Uno, we are on the brink of I mean, we are the moment that the country and I hope not, God forbid, we might bring back again what we have deposed in 1986. And this is very scary times.
That's true. And I just want to thank you for getting out there, getting those information out there, and helping us, of course, educate other people who do not understand. Of course, I know a lot of people who suffered during martial law. Martial law, personally know them, and family members. Of course, both my parents were illegally detained and tortured during martial law as well. So that's why I can really relate to a lot of families who are going through, they have family members who are still missing the desaperados until now they haven't seen or have any information about them. So those are the things that people should be aware of, and it happened during martial law. And there's a lot more stories that they have one in Netherlands that it's like a human library. You should have that also in the Philippines. You should invite these family members and people who were tortured and just let them talk to students,
Mhm.
and let the students or people ask them questions, or what they went through.
Okay.
Anyway,
Actually,
so
Raul
um,
can talk more about that, but we have. I mean, in the Philippines, they have done such initiatives. However, it's the challenge lies in making it more sustainable. But I think Raul can expound that later.
yeah. So,
Yes.
Mike, what is youth political participation? Political participation includes a broad range of activities. You know what they're doing right now, through which people develop and express their opinions on the world and how it is governed, and try to take part in it and shape the decisions that affect their lives. Now, Manuel, how does youth political participation differ across the Philippines? Meron ba?
Mm. It is it is correct. Youth political participation can be captured in a range. It means there are lots of activities that vary in terms of intensity, in terms of how uh, the youth can express their anger or their emotions towards their leaders. For example, it can start with lobbying efforts. If there is a legislative action that the youth wants their leaders to act upon, then we, especially before the pandemic, we go to the halls of Congress, we hold dialogues with senators, with people in Congress face to face so that we can explain the contents of our proposals. It can also take the form of social media actions, like we set a specific date and time wherein we aim to make some hashtag trend online. And of course, the peak of that is when we hold physical protests. During the start of the pandemic, it was really a difficult time because, of course, aside from the health situation, the government has been demonizing protests, and it was only on June 2020 that was, I think, 3 or 4 months after the start of the pandemic that people already decided that aside from what we have been doing before, we must make our voices heard at the streets. So those are the different kinds of activities that young people have tried.
But but the participation of you, do they vary like all over the Philippines? Like the Ilonggos may be different, or the Luzon people, youth from Luzon is different from the ones in Mindanao. How do they differ?
Okay. In terms of geography, protests are usually more visible in the national capital region, in Metro Manila. However, that doesn't mean that other regions do not have their own forms of protests. For example, most especially in the Visayas, like in the island of Negros, where Dumaguete City and Bacolod City are located, they are very vocal in terms of environmental issues like
Mm.
resisting destructive reclamation projects. But because the intensity of protests is not yet at the same level as that in Metro Manila, they're exploring more creative means. Like they are also conducting protests, but in a different manner. Like they do it in a silent type, or they incorporate prayers from various religious groups that join their protests. Also in Mindanao, where red tagging especially and
Mm.
various forms of harassment are more frequent on those who are deemed progressive, then what they do is they really tie up with the more youth organizations. They gather more allies like politicians or supporter of their cause so that they can maintain their safety while not compromising their demands that they are pushing.
Yeah. How about in Europe, Asher? Same
Yes.
question.
Same question to you.
You've
I think
been
the
all over
protest.
Europe. So how
Yeah,
does youth political participation here it's crazy, right? Like we're not afraid. Activism is like everywhere and no one can stop them even during the pandemic. I think that's it. We have been mentioning this over and over that in Germany, that's the only thing that the government cannot stop.
Yes.
Being on the streets and participating in these activities, they can always protest.
Yeah, because it's in the constitution.
Yeah. So how about you, Asher?
I think here protest culture is more, how do you say it, incorporated in more progressive groups here. Sorry about the dog.
That's okay.
What I'm about to say is I've never been much to Europe yet, to be honest. However, from what I've seen so far, the movements are gaining speed and gaining breadth of people. The most notable one being the climate movement and people advocating for fast climate action, which has to be done now. Imagine this has just been this has been initiated by a couple of students who just quit attending school on a certain day of the week just to protest, saying that why do we still need to study if our future is at risk and we will not be living anymore in around 50, 60 years. However, I think in some circles, the culture of protest and speaking up has been taken for granted. And in some other circles, saying that this is just like performative. While I might agree with that, because this is not the only way to push for change, to push for genuine measures to help us, to help our generation, to help this planet. Um, I think they ignore the fact, and they might by either by accident or maybe by purpose. I hope not. Of the privilege they have to be able to speak up. Because, for example, in the Philippines, it's very, as I've said, it's very dangerous to speak up. It's very dangerous to stand up
Yes.
for the to be the voice of the voiceless, to be the representative of those marginalized. And I think that this is with the climate summit, the COP 20, the conference of parties, the 26th conference of parties in Glasgow. I think this was a golden opportunity for I should say Western, between quotation marks, activists to be more aware, to give more credence to our friends who are in the Philippines, who are in Africa, who are in Latin America and South America, who have more uphill challenge, and to really empower their voices and not to make it only about their movement in the sense that it's just like a European movement. No, there are already groups that are also pushing for genuine climate action, for example, in other parts of the world, but they are being not much, not given much attention as well, I don't want to name names, but here I go, Greta Thunberg, for example, or Anuna Dueva in Belgium. So it's something that Western young activists are gradually learning. I know it could be faster, but we are in the right direction.
So okay, so Asher feels, of course, when your right is protected, when your rights are protected, you are definitely in the right direction. So this is question to Manuel. According to research that I've read, disadvantaged youngsters like position themselves with regard to well-known gap between youth and politics. Like what they're trying to say in context that the those who are vocational school students or those who are school dropouts tend to be less engaged in politics or are more prone to political radicalization. Do you agree with this?
Well, I think that can be attributed to how students who are in school, those especially in universities and colleges, are more open and are more they are in spaces that foster discussion, for example, of theories, deeper understanding of social issues and others. Now, for those who are out of school or those in, say, technical vocational tracks, those who cannot go to higher levels of education, then I believe that those people still have a chance to be more active in the sense that they are the ones who suffer from the anti-people policies of their governments. They are the ones who directly face issues like unemployment, lack of social services. It's just a matter of how, for example, that section of the youth who are more equipped with the theories. Those are able to study these kinds of issues, how they can reach out and work with those youth. Because after all of us are affected, and it is uh, up to us as to how we can, for example, form bridges through
Mhm.
various networks, organizations, or and youth from various backgrounds can pool their expertise and talents.
Yeah. And there's so many things. Mike, you have a question for Raul as well?
Yes, Raul, you're currently the national president for the Kabataan party list. And
Yes.
before you answer this, we will
Have a
have,
short bit.
have a short break. And this episode is, of course,
Brought to
brought to
us
us by
by.
amazing pure organic barley, which provides you with stamina and vigor to survive long hours of work and play. For more inquiries, please contact Miss Jess Esquilio. You may also email her at jess@esquilio.de for more information.
I am Maritoni Fernandez, and we are in the middle of a barley field here in Swan Hill, Australia.
Well, we think we have the best barley in the world because of our clean irrigation water. Water comes from the Murray River, which is a freshwater river. All our drinking water comes from the Murray River too. So it's full of nutrients, and also the climate is perfect for growing winter cereals. Clean, green, certified organic.
Yeah, we're certified with NASA, which is one of the Australian certifications for organic. IAM Worldwide gets its barley grass powders from Herbal, which sources them from us at Nutrigreen, so you're guaranteed the best barley grass powders in the world.
I am truly proud to say that we are now the sole distributor in the Philippines for Nutrigreen barley.
Okay, amazing pure organic barley provides you with stamina and vigor to survive long hours of work and play. For inquiries, please contact Miss Jess Esquilio. You may also email her at jess@esquilio.de for more information. So before we
Before
go,
Raul answers the question, we
yes,
want to show this as well.
yes, please watch this video.
Hi! Good day everyone! Ang Kabataan Party List bilang boses ng kabataan ay hindi lamang namuno sa mga kabataang Pilipino, kundi nakipagkaisa rin sa iba't ibang sektor sa pagkilos at paglaban para sa libre at makabayang eleksyon, disenteng trabaho at sahod, at mga tunay na socio-economic na reforma para sa malaya at masaganang Pilipinas. Saludo sa inyong ipinakitang gilas at pagsisikap para gampanan ang makasaysayang papel ng mga kabataan bilang pag-asa ng bayan. Tayo ay muling hinahamon na ipagpatuloy ang ating mga nasimulan, palakasin ang ating mga pagkilos, at isulong ang politika ng pag-asa, pagkilos at pagbabago. Sumali sa kabataan. Be a kabataan volunteer now.
Unang kabataan ang pag-asa ng bayan. Ba't di mo to panindigan?
Yes, wonderful song. So now back to our question. Raul, you are the current national president for Kabataan Party List. Could you tell us about your organization or party?
Kabataan is the Filipino word for youth. So, Kabataan Party List is the first, the only, and the genuine youth representation in Congress. It was founded in 2001, so we celebrated our 20th year just last year. And it has been consistent in being the voice of young people, not just on youth issues, but also on the various matters that are being faced by the Filipino people. In its existence, it has already served for 5 terms, and every term is good for 3 years in Philippine Congress. So, during those years, one of our major achievements is to legislate free education and higher levels of learning. we were able to stop the collection of tuition and other school fees from students. And this relieves young Filipinos of the burden of being able to finish their studies whenever they enter colleges or universities. And right now, we are currently on the track to ensure our sixth term so that we can pursue more meaningful reforms for the youth.
Okay, thank you.
Asher, who represents the youth migrants of Europe, he is here now. Do you have programs for migrant youth who are out of the country, out of the Philippines? Because some of them, are you voting, Asher? You
Yes,
will
I
be
am
voting.
voting.
So am
Yeah.
I. So, do you have programs for them as well? Boboto kami, yeah.
It's being a like now like a national coordinator for Isambayan. I think the challenge here is that to find fellow young migrants like myself would be interested in politics because young migrants, I mean young Filipinos here in Europe are either already disinterested and haven't participated in the political process anymore because they're just like too tired for that and just they're just minding like work and taking care of the family. The other one is the group of second generation migrants who already grew up here in Europe and are not aware at all of what's happening in the Philippines. I mean, it's partly because their parents have raised them to be one of like Europeans, to be like a European. I remember like a friend told me last evening here in London, like he he, he says that he's someone who's born in the Philippines, but born in the UK. He thinks he's Filipino, but it's like a whitewashed version. Ikama. That's what he said. I think my approach here is to be more general. I'm working mostly with, I mean, all of the other members, bar a handful, are way above my generational bracket. So we're just like working with them and networking to ensure that we have the highest. I mean, we have as a highest participation we have. Fun fact: Belgium is has one of the highest voter turnouts in Europe, but it's around 50%. So imagine how low the voter turnout will be in other countries, especially the gold-rich countries of Italy, Spain, the United Kingdom. How imagine how low the turnout is.
Okay. Also for the Kabataan Party List representative, of course, do you have programs for youth migrants all over the world?
Mm.
Raul?
Actually, yes. Actually, at this
Yes.
point, we admit that that is still one thing that we have to work on. Because of people like Asher and other young people in other countries, we are still on the path to improving our presence and our networks in other countries. Because we also believe in the potential of our young Filipinos in other parts of the world. Like they can contribute various kinds of help in terms of how we can really capture a more general and accurate description of how the Filipino youth can really be of change, no? Whether they are in the Philippines or they are outside.
Okay,
Okay.
that's very promising because Asher, you have to prepare a question for Raul later. Okay, so we had a guest last time, Lian Perkia. I am sure both of you are very familiar with Lian and his story about his father, who was one of the victims of extrajudicial killings in the Philippines. What do you think of these killings and why are they happening? But before you answer that question, of course, we want to support Music Cares. There are a group of musicians in Iloilo, and they passed even during the pandemic
Yes.
everywhere in the city. So one of their members is here, Esai Kirsten. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Esai. So Esai is going to perform for us in line with the celebration of our continuing celebration of the women's. I'm sorry. Can you hear? We can't hear you. Okay. Women's Month. Yay!
Okay, you going to check your microphone?
Do you want to check your microphone? Are you on silent mode? Wait, maybe she's on silent.
No,
Can
she's
you
not on
check? So
silent at the
she's
moment.
not. So we can't hear you.
No, you placed her on silent now?
Nah, yeah, she is. Unmute her.
Yeah.
Please unmute her. We want to hear her sing.
Yeah.
Can you unmute her?
Okay, just a second. There she is.
Okay, is she unmuted?
Okay.
Hello? Can you say something now, SI? No, still no.
Still
Maybe it's
no?
on your side.
Okay. We'll just continue and
We'll just continue with the question
Yes.
while we're waiting for SI to fix her audio.
Okay.
Anyway, back to Lian and the extrajudicial killings in the Philippines. What do you think about these killings and why are they happening? We'll ask Raul first because he's back home.
Okay.
These killings are part of the scheme of the incumbent administration to silence dissenters and critics. It is very unfair that we, young people and other sectors in the Philippines who just want to raise our valid grievances and to propose alternatives to current policies are being considered as enemies of the state. Like instead of hearing what we have to say, because we have officials who are not sincere in addressing those problems, then what they do so that they can still maintain their power, they can prolong their rule over the majority of the Filipino people, then they try all means to silence us. Like, for example, young people get red tag or they receive threats to their security, to their lives. And we believe that these things should not be normalized because if this is being done to those who speak, how much more to those who are uh, afraid, but they also have things to say. So we want to promote these kinds of freedoms because these are our tools for our participation in nation building. And we believe that no one should be silenced just because of what we believe in.
Yeah, so these killings are happening in broad daylight. Actually, it's not only because of the campaign for the war of drugs. A lot more people are getting killed. Lawyers, doctors,
Yes.
activists, students. So, what has been done to stop this?
To stop this, we use various means, both, for example, within legal frameworks and outside legal frameworks. Within the legal framework, what we do is we try our best to immediately file cases. We track, for example, uh, which police stations post materials that red tag ordinary citizens. We identify the head of the local police or other officials, and we file cases. And there's some regional chapters that have been successful in calling out those local police and asking formal apologies. Now, outside those legal channels, we try to empower young individuals to act as paralegals also, to be familiar with how they can defend themselves from these kinds of threats. And we try to do our best to ensure support systems for young people so that they won't feel that they are alone whenever they are red tagged, but there are networks that can help them to do proper action.
That's right.
Okay. Yes, for Asher, you're also aware of these extrajudicial killings now that you are based in Europe. How are these things being perceived by the Filipino migrant youth in Europe in general?
Yeah. What do they think of this?
I think for the Filipino youth that I've been talking to, but it might not be as representative. Of course, it is an excess is excessive. I do not know what else to add to Raul's statements on Raul's comments on the extrajudicial killings, other than the fact that it's just gone very egregious. baga parang harapang-harapan talaga na pinapatay. And those who are speaking up against it, those who want to stop those killings, are indeed being threatened either by jail or by the bullet. And that's a very deplorable situation. The steps being done here is also like two-pronged. One is in parliamentary framework where we are in currently. So, for example, the European Parliament has voted with a very big majority again for a resolution condemning the extrajudicial killings in the Philippines, the enactment of anti-terrorism law, the flagrant red tagging of activists and dissenters, and also there's a very remarkable passage in that resolution that calls for the abolition of the National Task Force to ending local communist armed conflict, or NDF-LCAC. So it's a very for now it's the strongest signal that we have, and also put in consideration that the EU has economic relations with the Philippines under the general scheme of preferences. Sorry if I'm talking very technical language, but it's like a scheme where the Philippines gets a little bit of preferential treatment from the EU compared to other countries. So again, Parliament time and time again pushes for that scheme to be again reconsidered, to be examined on the basis of the human rights situation in the Philippines. We have people here who were very constant defenders of Filipino dissenters. One that I would really like to pay particular tribute to is Hannah Neumann, also an MEP from Germany, who is partnered with Congressman Sara Ilago in this Parliamentarians at Risk program of the European Parliament. So Hannah and Sarah are also not only both women, but also both victims of disinformation and threats to their address. So that they really resonate to each other. Another thing I'm aware of, aside from the European Parliament, is the U.S. Congress. For example, Congresswoman Premier Charapal pushes for this Philippine Human Rights Act, which would direct the U.S. government not to deliver weapons or military combat and technical assistance to the police and armed forces if it's being used to suppress people. So that's for the parliamentary part. The other one is the extra parliamentary part. Is one, of course, raising awareness, especially during International Human Rights Day. Several Filipino organizations in Europe are raising this awareness through protests, but also development organizations in Europe who have been working with Filipinos on the ground are also allies in these extra parliamentary activities, raising awareness time and time again that these are not just like people from far away. They have been their colleagues, they have been their friends, they have been very close to them. And at one point, they have given some training or skill support or skill sharing with the Philippines and some countries in the EU when it comes to, for example, agriculture, community development, and a lot more others. So we are, with our European allies here, with European groups, we are trying to say that this is not something that is far from our bed. This is something that we should pay attention to, not only in the Philippines as well, but also in other countries in what they call the global south.
So okay. So he was talking about the allies that's been supporting us with their fight against the extrajudicial killings and human rights abuses in the country right now. So Asher mentioned all of it, and we know that there is a case filed against President Duterte and others in the ICC, right? But in November 18, there's a statement from the International Criminal Court prosecutor Karim Khan, which they suspended the court's investigation to alleged crimes committed during the Philippines' war on drugs, by some estimate about 20,000 people died during the campaign. And according to the documents released by the ICC prosecutor, Karim Khan wrote that the Philippines has filed a deferral request on November 10 through its ambassador in the Netherlands. So what happens now? Let's ask Raul.
Yes. Right now, various cost-oriented organizations are really exhausting more efforts to defend
Yeah.
the civil liberties in the Philippines. Right now, amid the election season, we take this as an opportunity to bring to light our specific demands to all those who are seeking public office. For example, the junking of the terror law, which targets not the real terrorists, but those who are vocal, dissenters, activists, and all others, even ordinary citizens. Also, the abolishing of the National Task Force to end local communist armed conflict, which simply said it has become a way for ex-military officials to take control even of civilian agencies. And actually, we are very glad that this is part of the resolution that was approved by the European Parliament, as mentioned by Asher, because it gives reassurance and it also boosts the efforts of groups in the Philippines to push for its abolishing because support such as the resolution by the EU can really help more Filipinos understand why it is dangerous for civilian agencies to be under the uh, unchecked control of very few people. And there's a lack of checks and balances already among branches of government.
Okay. So do you imagine that here in Germany, like extrajudicial killings and
Wow.
wow, that's like crazy,
It would
right?
be an
20, more
uproar.
than 20,000 people has died already. And it's like it can fill up an entire stadium
Yes.
of dead bodies.
Yes.
So,
Sadly, yes.
oh yeah,
So, Asha and Raul, the Philippine elections is really heating up in the Philippines. What kind of president should people vote for?
Asher.
A
You
presidential
need to
candidate
ask
that I
Asher
vote
because he's
for.
already campaigning for VP Lenny Robredo.
Well, barring that mention that I did earlier, a presidential candidate I would vote for is someone who has proven time and time again that this person is up to the challenges of the office, based on what that person has, which resources this person has. Another one is being not only true to the word that this person says, also having the care, genuine care. This is not only the malasakit that we've heard in 2016 all over again. This is not that. This is genuine care that this person has for the Filipino people, regardless of what they have voted for or for whom they have voted in the previous elections. Because unfortunately, in the Philippines, it's a reality that the care and the health being given to citizens is dependent on who this person or this group of people voted for in previous elections, and this should not be the case. They should be serving all the people. Another trait that I want to bring forward is someone who has not malversed any public funds. Hindi po magnanakaw ang aking presidente, ang aking ibobotong presidente.
Of course. And Raul, of course.
Yes. Actually, we have already endorsed a tandem for president and vice president. And similar to what has been mentioned by Asher, since this tandem has lots of common points with what we have been pushing. Uh, they are the only tandem that has a specific plan on how to safely reopen schools because it is such a shame that the Philippines is the only country in the world right now where majority of schools are still closed and the current government has uh, not a single detailed plan how to do it safely for young people. Aside from education, which is a very pressing concern of the youth, also on unemployment, how to improve pandemic response, how to make the people uh, be more open to, for example, or how we can make accessible, I mean, the channels for justice, how we can provide justice and compensation to the victims of human rights violations, under the current administration. These are some of the points that we find promising as we endorse VP Lenny and Senator Kiko Pangilinan.
Okay, so our next question, because essay disappeared totally, so we'll just continue with the questions right now. And yeah, so before we continue, I think we should show the video of our ambassador, consul, the new consul general in Frankfurt, who sent us a wonderful message because we're also celebrating Women's Month
Yes.
right now. So the consulate has sent us a video message.
Hear the video.
Guten Tag. Today marks an important occasion to celebrate the achievement of women and girls across the Philippines, here in Germany, and beyond. On this year's celebration of the National Women's Month, we aim to highlight the Filipino women's achievements in various fields. With the theme Agenda ng Kababaihan, Tungo sa Kaunlaran, we also highlight the valuable role of women in the society that proves that inclusive and sustainable development is only possible when gender equality becomes obtainable. Filipino women have made great achievements in raising economic empowerment, socio-political participation, and decision-making power. We have specifically witnessed the remarkable contributions of Filipino women healthcare professionals here in Germany, especially during this time of pandemic. We salute the Filipino women healthcare workers who have selflessly devoted their time and energy to care for the sick. We express our appreciation as well to Filipino women in the field of information technology, education, and service industry, students, and homemakers who also continue to bring positive contributions to both the Philippine and German societies. Today, we honor them all. Equally important in our celebration is to identify some barriers which slow down our progress of gender equality and women's empowerment. The pandemic's effect on our home life and workplace have brought a real risk of reversing the gains society has made on gender equality. Stereotypes, perceptions, and gender-based biases are quick to inform and influence how we are shaping the new normal. Multiple layers of risk, such as when climate change enters the picture, can lead to women being disproportionately impacted. Opportunities for women, even women's safety, can easily be compromised by the new demands of work arrangements and responsibilities at home. The new environment thus behooves us to assess how our actions are affecting women. On this National Women's Month, let us be on guard that the new normal doesn't end up with old norms that have clipped the wings of women before. Maraming salamat po.
And of course, thank you very much. That's the message from our Consul General Marie Yvette Elbanson Abalos for the celebration of the International Women's Day.
Yes.
Maraming salamat for sending us a message.
Thank you for the message.
So our next question is about SOGI, which has become the longest running bill under the Senate interpellation period in the Philippines. Ang haba na, it's more than a decade. 2 decades. Oo. So, what do you support the SOGI bill, Raul? How?
Yes, we support it. Actually, we are one of the authors of the SOGI Equality Bill in Congress, together with other progressive party lists and legislators. And in the House of Representatives, before he ran for senator, former Bayan Muna party list representative for 3 terms, Nery Colmenares, was also one of the authors. So we really hope that aside from winning seats in the House, we also are able to install progressive senators so that there would be no more roadblocks in terms of how we can file and effectively push for the passage of such a bill.
Yes, we need progressive senators, definitely. And he's like on top of my list for Senate as well. Please vote for Senator Neri Colmenares. Nangampanya talaga, eh, no? So, in conclusion, do you think or can you both say that you are more involved, the youth are more involved in politics now? Asher?
That's a very tough question, but I always have an answer for that. Um, Youth involvement in politics, as we know it, is low. I mean, let's not go around that fact. However, there are. I mean, we have to be um, aware that there's a separate distinction between politics as we know it and the political. But what do I say about the political? And I might go a bit philosophical with this. Is the that youth are more engaged in the issues that are being raised. For example, climate change, which is the very, I mean, the driving factor, has raised youth engagement in social political context. Another one is as you have asked Raul, is Sochi. Here is also a big issue because there's still some discrimination against LGBTQIA plus youth, and they're pushing it back. And they're also the ones in the forefront when there are issues of women, girls being harassed in local bars, or the questions of sexual harassment in universities or in places of power and government. LGBTQIA plus allies are also at the forefront of this because Sochi is not only for the members of the LGBTQIA plus community, but also for all of us. So yeah, those two issues are. I know the youth are very engaged in those and a lot more. However, they, according to the latest studies on youth movements, they don't have trust in politics, in the political structures, even here in Europe. And I am aware of that because I am a part of a youth political party, and we are trying to work with progressive environmentalist youth organizations, and they're saying we don't want to be painted this political color. We want to be non-partisan, and we understand that. And I think this is the place that where I am right now in the youth political party. I think it's a good bridge between activism, which is where the youth are very engaged in, and politics, where let's say boomers, old people are still dominating this spectrum. I think youth political parties are the ones, and it is on us to push for more youth participation in the politics as we know it, to give place to young people, because in the end, the policies that are being pushing through in parliaments and assemblies will affect us, the youth, the most.
Yeah. Right. So you have a question for Raul.
Yes,
A very
for Raul.
controversial question.
What do you think of Bongbong Marcos? Do you think that he should be disqualified for running, and why?
Raul?
Yes, I believe that he should have been disqualified by the Commission on Elections because it was not just once that he tried to evade payment of taxes. It happened repeatedly, and it is a reflection of how they respect not just the laws, but how they respect the Filipino people. Like, we jail ordinary citizens for not paying taxes. I mean, I'm not saying that they should do that, but there is really a huge disparity as to how we treat people who do not abide by the law. The poor go to jail, even innocents can be easily put to jail, but people like him who come from very powerful families can do away with their crimes. And now, aside from their sins to the people, it has been revealed to more Filipinos that their family actually owes 203.8 billion pesos it has already accrued interest, and it is a huge sum of money which could have been used to provide cash aid for those who are still unemployed, can be used to improve infrastructure, education, and other aspects. So, well, to sum up, we believe that he shouldn't have been allowed to run. And the youth groups in the Philippines are trying their best to spread information because these things are not fake news, contrary to what their troll armies have been spreading online. We do our best, we go to communities, we go house to house to spread materials that contain actually not political propaganda, but just the truth and the facts.
Yeah, and our minds talaga, o si Raul, he was talking about fake news na.
Yes.
That's our next question. What are your plans in eradicating fake news in the Philippines? So they're going house to house, which is really good. Because hindi naman lahat they have access to the internet. Not everyone has the time and the privilege to also go to the computer shop or internet shop or have the latest smartphone to get the news right away. So always the field and going to the masses is the right thing to do, which of course in the Philippines is very scary because they can be accused of activities that are, would target them, red tag them, and accuse them of terrorism. Anyway, your question for Raul and why. Oh, wait, before you ask that question, let's give Asher the opportunity to ask Raul. Do you have anything to ask
Yes.
Raul, Asher?
Ang hirap.
You're,
But
you're in Europe
maybe
representing the youth, and here he is who wants to represent the youth in the entire country. So, what do you want to ask him?
Pressure.
yeah, it's a big pressure. But two questions. One is a short one. Raul, kailan ka babalik dito when you come back here? Number two is what can we do more as Filipino youth abroad to help the cause of youth participation in politics, especially in your movement Kabataan, which I know and I admire a lot because you are indeed the only genuine youth representation in Congress, something that something that parliaments here are doing in their own parties, but there is not one group dedicated for only the youth. So I think this is a unique situation that you are. But what can we do abroad to help you there on the ground?
Yes. For the first question, kailan babalik? I'm looking forward na soon nakabalik since we really find enriching experiences whenever we also meet young people outside of the country. So hopefully, if ever we win and we will start our term by June 2022, hopefully within the year ay makabalik tayo. And for the second question, how young Filipinos overseas can help. I think one effective way to help is to echo the situation that is happening in the Philippines. Spreading the word about what's happening, like can be done through regular updates or maybe through study sessions or discussion groups about what's happening in the Philippines. That can already be a big help because the Duterte administration is banking on misinformation. He wants to create a picture that people in the Philippines are all right, people overseas can just support this administration wholeheartedly without criticism, and people overseas can be blinded if ever they are not given the right information. So to support the struggle of people here, it is already an advantage for us if ever we have also people like you who can spread the truth, because truth is really one of our powerful weapons in this age of fake news.
Yes, we love it. And you're both always welcome here in Talk Alley to speak the truth. Anyway, Mike, your
Yes,
question?
question for you, Raul. why should people vote for Kabataan party list?
Yes. Uh, we need the ideas of young people in the Philippines where traditional politics is still very rampant. The rule of political clans or dynasties, uh, the big or the major influence of big businesses and a few powerful people in the affairs of the country. These are matters that young Filipinos want to stop. And this cannot happen overnight after one election cycle, but day by day, we can do steps to dismantle such kind of politics. And what we are bringing forward is an alternative type of politics. Politics in itself is not bad because actually it's part of our daily lives. We want to make people realize the inherent power that they have whenever they come together, the collective power that Filipinos can exert on their public officials. And this is the type of politics that Kabataan Party List embodies. And we cannot afford to have a Congress that does not have youth representation. What will happen to our bills on education? What will happen to our 9-point youth agenda should young people lack representation? So we hope that these will be points that can help people convince to consider and eventually vote for Kabataan.
Okay, for you both, what advice can you give the youth today? Asher first.
Don't be afraid to speak up. I think that's the simplest advice that I could give. Don't be afraid to speak up. And you might not know whether there might be people who will have the same thoughts as you. Because this was also the experience that I had when I began youth politics here in Belgium, being the colored guy in the group of like white people, not being demeaning, but it sometimes has a feeling that you might be alone in this how do you say it, this feeling that you have, these convictions that you have. But if you begin to raise your voice, begin to say, hey, how about us, people of color? And then suddenly you'll see more like people of color coming out from the shadows or maybe surfacing and saying, hey, I recognize you, I feel you. And this is this can be very powerful at times. Sometimes it's the only thing that we would need to keep going. And I'm not overstating it, I'm not overreacting, but sometimes it could really do a lot for you as an activist or a young politician who wants to push your advocacies.
Raul.
Advice to young people. I agree with what Asher said. And to add to that, to our young people, always trust not just in yourself, but trust in what we can do together. In these times wherein young people are being trained by a culture that puts high value on, for example, just the self. We, for example, live in social media wherein we have different feeds. It's like we want to be at the center of the world. It's like that. That's how social media wants us to think and to live. But we must go beyond just looking at ourselves, and we must look at what more things we can do, the better things that we can perform for our society, for the world. Once we go out, we develop our strengths with others, we acknowledge our weaknesses, and we work on that while learning from others. So that will
That,
also boost our efforts to become better citizens.
yes, that's right. And to add to that, yes, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be called an activist. Learn the meaning of what an activist is or activism is. So do not be afraid of being loud. When you are in the right, be loud. It's okay. So just fight for what is right. It's always the right side. Don't go to the dark side, palate. So when you're fighting for the right, you shouldn't be afraid. You can speak out to people because you're in the right. You can explain well because you're in the right. So just tell them the truth and with all of your heart, and fear will disappear. That's it's not just being activist. When you travel to another country, it's the same feeling. You have to be not afraid, because if you know what you're doing and you're right, you can tell other people why you are there. So before we end, we have 5 questions. We always do this. This has nothing to do with what you're fighting for or whatever. This is not personal as well. So we're gonna ask them na.
Yes.
Are you ready?
For the first question, if you were to write a book, what would it be about, Raul?
Raul, if you were to write a book now, what would it be about?
Mm. At the top of my mind, it would be about economics in the Philippines. During the pandemic, I had enough time to write about farmers, how they are exploited, how their earnings are being robbed from them because of middlemen. So I want to systematize that. And given the chance, with the luxury of time, I can write a book about it.
Okay.
Yeah, and Asher can make a comparison about the farming community here in Europe. Asher, same question.
Yes.
Yeah, also like Raul, I have a lot of thoughts. But the first that comes up in my mind is experiences of young people of color in activism and politics, and youth in activism and politics in general.
Yeah, definitely interesting, because I can only count sa fingers ko how many Filipino migrants are involved in politics here. Although one was, what got her name, but she's based in Berlin. Anyway, she's the same party as Merkel. I forgot. Anyway, so next, if you have a superpower, what would it be, Raul?
Superpower.
The power to what?
Mm, I would want a superpower that would allow me to make people believe facts automatically. Like they won't have to question facts. Because we can debate about opinions, we can have various opinions, but facts are facts. We cannot,
Yeah,
and it is dangerous to make your own facts. So at least we must settle for and believe in the same facts. Then let's debate on opinions.
that's right. How about you, Asher?
Something that a bit related to Raul's superpower is actually the power to read minds, to anticipate the questions that people have, to anticipate the thoughts that people have, and then if they have doubts or they believe in fake news, for example, then you can anticipate those and say, "Hey, you for when it comes up with the conversation, you would say, hey, this and this and this, but do you know this and this and this?" So yeah.
Parang ganyan
Okay.
din. Sino power nyo? What yung Mike? What power would you want?
Well, I would be super strong, I guess.
Strength?
Yeah, but I was watching Justice League earlier, so
Easily.
yeah.
What power would they absorb their powers? One of their powers.
not
I'm
bad.
so mean. Okay. Next question. If you were what's this? If you were given a chance to speak to anyone, living or dead, who would it be? Raul.
Hmm. I would talk to Jose Rizal, one of the national heroes of the Philippines. I would ask him how he was able to endure many years of suffering so that he can also inspire others to like sacrifice a bit and do more for the greater good.
Mm.
Okay.
Oo, perfect. Kasi, both of them are young, and Rizal can totally relate to them. Kasi he died when he's about 33 or 36 years old. Eh. The same mga age level niya sina Marcelo H. Del Pilar. I think he was in his late 30s. And Bonifacio was also 33, I think. Magkaka-age group sila. So, yeah, cool. How about you, Asher?
Actually, I have the same answer, but also to talk about the struggles of living alone, being a young student, a young migrant in Europe, and then what made him to go back to the Philippines despite the danger that he faces. Because let's be aware, he knew all the dangers that he could face, albeit with the without the technology that we have today, but he knew what would be in front of him. So that and the struggle of being alone in a distant country.
Well, he survived it here, and he really, actually, he was an icon, especially in Berlin. He was, Rizal was, what was that society, no? He was the only Filipino and Asian who was admitted to that society in Berlin. It was so exclusive. Yeah. We went to, where did we go?
Heidelberg?
To Heidelberg. We went to the Heidelberg Library just to research about it. Stalker kami ni Rizal. So we went to the places that he went to. So we tried to read a lot of materials about him. And it's really amazing. I was so proud going out of that library. I was like, wow, my God, I'm so proud to be Filipino. Feeling ko yung part ng brain ni Rizal na sa akin. Anyway, yeah, he's
Yes.
really amazing.
Okay,
And-
to our next question.
Yeah.
If you were to describe your life in a song right now,
Wow, this
what
is-
song would it be? And you
You
have
have
to
to sing it.
Raul first.
Raul, you do it first. Everyone who were our guests, they did it also. So no exceptions.
Wow. Okay. Then
Just a
I'd
line
have,
or two.
yeah, I'd have to pick the campaign jingle of Kabataan Party List for this year. This is
Okay, fine.
entitled
Then you have to
Laban
sing it.
Kabataan. Okay. Laban kabataan, lumahok, tumindig, magkaisa at magpasyap, tayo'y pag-asa ng bayan. Okay, that's it. Yeah, it inspires young people to fight
Yes.
harder for the country.
Ang galing ng line.
Yes.
Tama. We have to fight. The
Yes.
youth should fight for their country.
Yes, youth is the future.
Dapat. So, Asher, ready ka na.
Actually, my train of thought was broken when Raul started to sing Laban Kabataan. I was just like vibing to it.
Okay.
Oh, that.
So, it's your turn.
Wait, it's hard. I have difficulty finding that one song. Jeez.
We're waiting.
Wait. I think it would be Ben and Ben. I think we Ben and Ben.
Okay.
Okay.
Way home. Wait, yun ba yung title?
Okay. Sing na.
So I'm coming home to you. You're all I need, the very air I breathe. You're It's Ride Home pala yung title.
Okay, nice.
Oh my God, I'm cute. I love it.
Yes.
Ben and Ben, that's a new. Is that their new song? I haven't heard of it. No.
They have a new
Okay,
album,
also-
but it's like already out like months ago.
I'm also there at the Pasig Laban.
Yes.
Nag-promote na naman. So,
May
you're
kaliwanag.
there. Oo. Tsaka, winave nila yung fees nila as an artist. They went there for free. O, diba? Parang, yeah. So, ang galing. And, of course, the last question, because election is coming up and we're voting, if you can talk to the current president of the Philippines, what would you say to him? No violence, talk lang. No violence.
Okay.
Raul, what are you going to ask him? Or talk to him?
I'd tell him to finally please step down and give way so that at least the sufferings of the people can be alleviated somehow.
Yeah.
How about you, Asher?
I think I've not really talked, but like ask two questions. One, what is your evaluation of your own presidents this past 6 years? Two, ano ba talaga ang inyong honest thoughts ng tumakbo si Sara Duterte under Bongbong Marcos? Kasi sinabi ninyo na mahinang leader si Marcos, pero susuportahan niyo ba siya? Susuportahan niyo ba si Sara bilang VP? Ano ang yung susunod na hakbang pagkatapos nito? And maybe a third question pa, what will you do after the presidency? Parang journalist din.
Definitely, ako yung question ko sa kanya match sa question mo. Ready ka na po sa ICC? I'm going to ask him, is ready, ang daming kailangan niyang i-prepare himself niya. Tsaka sino pa yung mga kasama niya, ang dami nila.
Yep.
Oo, magbo-bonding sila sa ICC.
Yeah, he can line up with Putin too.
Exactly. Don't
Baka
start
naka-wheelchair na.
of that. I know. So guys, oh my God, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for being on TalkAlley.
Yes, thank you for being with us on TalkAlley. We learned so much from you, and we're so proud that these two young men are representing the youth in the Philippines and in Europe. They're together right now, and I hope you continue your good work for the country and for the Filipino people. Maraming salamat sa inyo. And please, Asher, ikampanya mo naman si Raul. Send out a message to the youth.
Siyempre, sa mga kabataan dito sa labas ng bansa, huwag kalilimutan na iboto ang nag-iisa at tunay na representante ng kabataang Pilipino, ang Kabataan Party List number 95 sa balota. And shoutout ko lang pula for Raul because Raul has undergone some threats recently. I know this is not an easy time for you to be campaigning in politics, especially nangyari kina sa sa Davao yung New Bataan 5. Sariwa pa lang yun. So my heart is out to you, to your campaign. And syempre sa mga pamilya at kaibigan ng New Bataan 5. At saka pa-plug ko na rin pala if I can share my screen. Tingnan natin. Okay.
Share away.
Ayan. Share away. Ayan.
I-share niya ang kanyang screen.
Ayan. Ayan, share ng screen. Kaya ba? Kita ba?
Hindi. Can you...
Wait.
Hindi kita.
Yeah. Ito na.
Oh, there you go. Ayan, meron ng bagong magazine radio show para sa mga migranteng Pilipino, especially sa mga Pilipino sa Europa, ang Kwentuhang Pinoy. Every Sunday po yan, alas 5 ng hapon Central European Time. So, ibig sabihin, mga hating gabi. Pero, syempre, pwede nyo nang simulan ang inyong week sa mga everyday topics. We have already had topics about the weather, about language, about being kahit sa pagiging marites. Kaya kung gusto nyo subaybayan yan, mag-log lang sa Facebook page ng Kwentuhang Pinoy. That's facebook.com/Kwentuhang Pinoy, KWEN Tuhang Pinoy.
Yay!
Thank you.
Will you be hosting the show?
May cameo po ako for now. Naka-cameo po ako doon. Actually, it's with
But who will be hosting it?
Tito Brett and I'm not sure
Si
yet.
Brett. Okay. Sa Lalima
Si Tito Brett and si Ate Janine.
Okay. So, we will promote that show as well. Every 5 p.m. on CET ba? 5 p.m. CET sa atin.
5 p.m. CET, around that, yeah.
Okay, we will promote that. Please, of course, listen to their to reach out to the community. Of course, that's the reason also we created TalkAlley, so we can reach out to the Filipino community here in Europe and all over the world. And of course, ito naman si Raul, pakipromote ulit ng Kabataan Party List, please.
Yes po, lalo na sa mga kabataan, basta within 13 to 35, hindi nagpapanggap na kabataan, pwede po kayong sumali sa Kabataan Party List para i-ensure na may boses tayo sa loob ng ating kongreso. And yan, pwedeng tumugtong sa kahit sa ang pinakamalapit na chapter or pwede ding direkta sa national office through our social media accounts. Tayo ay nasa Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, pati TikTok, pinasok na natin para mag-spread ng positive and alternative vibes na dala ng kabataan. Yan lang po. Maraming salamat. Number 95, Kabataan Party List.
95 po. And we will continue to promote and campaign for Kabataan Party List, of course. Thank you. Maraming salamat sa inyo.
Thank you, Raul. Thank you, Asher, for being with TalkAlley.
Yay.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Raul, see you. See you all.
Yes, bye-bye, Asher. Thank you po sa lahat.
Bye. And of course, Esa is with us now, and she's going to perform a few of her songs for all the women in line with the celebration of the Women's International Month.
Hi.
Hello, Esa. You're back.
Hi, guys.
Yay!
Hi.
We can hear her.
Can you guys hear me now?
So we're ready for your song. Live photo all the way from Iloilo City, Philippines.
We had technical difficulties. Very sorry about that. But I hope you guys will enjoy the song. This one is called "Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone." Thank you so much. Thank you. Come on. Ain't no sunshine, no. There's a woman, she's away. 'Cause ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and she's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away. 'Cause I know, 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 I know. Leave this young thing alone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Oh, 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 oh. 'Cause ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. And ain't no sunshine when it's gone. And it's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away. 'Cause I know, 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 I know. Leave this young thing alone. Leave this young thing alone. Oh, 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 oh. Leave this young thing alone. Oh, 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 oh. Anytime she goes away, 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 anytime, anytime she goes away. Thank you so much. And that was called Ain't No Sunshine. And the little guys, thank you so much for inviting me here. And happy Women's International Day. I mean month. But hi.
Hi!
Hi. Hello po.
Hello, finally.
And,
As I had some technical difficulties, but now she's back and we're glad. And for hers, how's everything there, SI?
everything's good. Before I have this right now, the technical difficulties, we were searching what was the problem, but the problem was just we didn't plug it in.
Are you also a member of Musicares?
I'm actually we're just a community right now. For example, Music Cares and Instant Good Vibes and Kuya Emma Batayo are three different branches but the same concept. But the thing is we are a team. Which is
Cool.
SA Good Vibes is on the Robinson side. Robinson's Iloilo, Maine, Haro, Pavia, and City Paraola, Parola, and also GT Mall. Kuya Eman is SM City, South Point, and North Point. And Music Hairs is, as I know, is festive. So
festive walk something. Yeah.
Yes.
So they've divided the community.
Music Hairs, it's consisting of a mall. But the thing is, we don't compete with each other.
You
We
collaborate.
have good vibes always.
Yes.
We collaborate. So music here. Tita Bell and Kuya Ryan's the founder. Kuya Eman is the founder of Eman na Batayo. And me as SI Good Vibes right here, the
Yeah.
founder of the SI Good Vibes Team Baskers.
And every one of them has been on TalkAlley already. Eman, Belle, everyone. Sean has just released a single.
Oh,
Yeah, so everyone he collaborated with I forgot his name. He was here too. You want the one who sang the Frank Sinatra songs?
um,
Oh, there's so
the-
many. I forgot.
Julius.
Julius. He collaborated with Julius with a producer.
Uh-huh.
He's the producer of the single, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, please go to Spotify, look for Sean's music, and he has just released a single. So back to SI and to her next song. Please, the stage is yours.
And I hope you enjoy this one. This one is called Take Me to Church. And God bless you all. Alright. Don't forget to subscribe also at SI Carson Milano, as well as you can be a part of my Patreon. Thank you. And of course, Facebook and Instagram as well. And spread good vibes, everybody. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed this one. My love is like human. She's to take your life funeral. Cause everybody they should prove of. Should worship us sooner. If they haven't ever did speak. She's the last of my every sun is getting holy. Fresh cause I was born sick, but love it. About yourself, no absolute. She does worship in the bedroom. Only heaven now is sent to is when I don't care. I was born sick, but love it meant me to be well. Amen. 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 Take me to church, cause I worship like a dog at the shining lights. I'd say you my sins, so you can sharpen your knife. Offer me my daddy's dead. Good God, let me give you my life. If I'm a begging on a good time, my love's got sunlight to keep the guidance on my side. She the massive sacrifice. I drink the whole sea. Get something shiny, something meaningful to make goals. That's the fine looking hours. Once you got in the stable, stop love, stop faithful. That's expensive and that's tasty. This is hungry world. Take me to church, cause I worship like a dog at a shining lights. Outside of my seat, so you can sharpen your knife. Offer me my talents, said, good God, let me give you my life. But take me to church, cause I worship like a dog at a shining lights. Outside of my seat, so you can sharpen your knife. My talents, said, good God, let me give you my life. The masters of kings were the rituals were so sweeter innocence than our generals. Were the manners and souls of their celebration. Only that I am human. Only that I am. Oh, amen. 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 Take me to church, cause I worship like a dog. I should have lies, I'd say in my seat, so you can sharpen your knife. Offer me my talents, there. Good God, let me give you my life. Take me to church, cause I worship like a dog. I should have lies, I'd say in my seat, so you can sharpen your life. My Thanks so much.
Cool. Ganda.
Hi, guys.
Mike said you're like Amy Winehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have the feel of Amy.
Thank you.
So to give us her last song, right? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So it's going to be
I want to dedicate this song to everybody, and this one is called Upuan.
is that an original?
No. If you want to, okay. I have my own original songs here.
Yeah, we do want to hear some original songs from you.
Okay.
Original songs are always welcome.
Thank you. And I hope you enjoy this one.
I'm sure we will.
This one is called Still Do. It's about love that wasn't where you question everything, what went wrong, and you still love the person, but you decided to let go because you know it's for the best of you, and you know it's for the best of them as well, because you can't have them, even though you had a relationship. And the good thing about this song is that you know what your feelings are. Even if you find another lover, it just doesn't feel the same. So that's the story of the song. So until now, we cannot move on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Still Do. And I hope I can release this as soon as possible because in God's time.
Hopefully you will come back to TalkAlley and launch it here.
I have no problem. I'm free right now. So
Yay.
next time, when they're back here, I'd like to say hi to them. Earlier, it was so very technical difficulties. I'm sorry about that, guys.
It's okay. We understand. Thank you. And now the stage is yours.
All right. Once again, my name is S. I am 16 years old. I'm a singer-songwriter here at Iloilo, known as SI Good Vibes, with the busking team here in Iloilo City. And my YouTube name is SI Christian Milano, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon as well. And thank you so much for giving me a chance to perform here. And God bless you. I hope you enjoy my original song. This one is called Still Do. God bless you. All right. Looking back where all it happened, it was the reason I've changed. And all my battles come and go like they used to before, but you're still my greatest war. But I'm still holding tight. I wish I was right, 'cause now you've changed. 'Cause now we've changed. 'Cause I love you, still do. You make a beat right from my chest, living life with no regrets. But I can't have you. No, I can't. You looked at me like I was nothing. Did we Now I'm stuck in a pattern. I found some lovers, but it didn't last. No, guess I didn't feel it when I was with it. Oh, and guess I'm better off alone. Oh, I'm still old inside. I wish I was right, but we've gone separate ways, separate ways. 'Cause I love you, still do. You make the beat right from my chest, living life with no regrets, but I can't have you. I know I can't. You look to me like I was nothing. This believing means nothing. My love, my love, my love. And I'm so excited. I wish I was right. Guess now we've changed. Guess now we've changed. 'Cause I love you, I still do. You make the beat right from my chest. I can live a life with no regrets, but I can't have you. And now I can't. You look to me like I was nothing. Did we even mean something, my love? La, 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 la. La, 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 la. Thank you. All right.
Thank you very much, Sai. Of course, thank you very much, Asher and Raul. And
Thank you,
is
guys.
Raul still there?
Yes, Asher is still there.
Raul is so busy because there's also a vice presidential debate, I think, tonight. So, yeah, everything aligned today. So, the Pasiglaban, the vice presidential debate, of course, our show. So, anyway, so thank you very much, guys. And we hope to have you again here on Talk Alley.
Yes. Thank you, Asai. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, SI.
Bye.
Bye.
So yeah, it was very interesting. The youth has a lot of struggles in the Philippines. It's also cultural because we grew up like just following orders from our parents, but then they let us go to school and struggle so much, and they try to push us harder to be on top of everything.
Yes.
And then all the leadership trainings.
Yes.
And then when we speak out, they try to not listen to us and shut us down. So it's very cultural. It's a really struggle in the Philippines.
It's not only in the Philippines, but also in Germany. It's passed on to the next generation.
Yeah,
where
exactly.
Parents try their kids to be aware of what's happening politically and economically.
And so now we are so lucky and happy that we are being represented all over the world. And in the Philippines, the Kabataan Party List is now there for us to actually and finally, hear our voices, what the youth really need, what are the things that we should be doing, should be preparing for the next generation. for everything that's
Yes.
been happening in the country.
Yes.
That affects us as well.
Yes.
Them, hindi na pala ako use.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes, I'm very happy that Raul is there in the Philippines, who's leading the party list for the Kabataan, and also for Usher
Here in Europe.
here in
also.
Europe. Yeah, very strong minds.
Yes.
Yes.
And we hope that they will continue to strive and never give up, because we are always here to back you. So, great job, guys.
Yes.
Great job.
So thank you, listeners and
And
viewers,
Esa.
for today's show. Yes, thank you for Esa for the great performance. The song is really great. We loved it. For the listening viewers, please enjoy this Sunday today. It got on sunny, and I guess it's also warm, 14 degrees here, showing on my laptop.
Wow.
So please enjoy this with family and friends. And
Thank you, everyone.
yes, this is Mike,
And this is Maria.
and this is
And
TalkAlley.
this is TalkAlley.
Bye.
Bye.